one child, one teacher, one book, and one pen can change the world. These were the wise words from a 16-year-old schoolgirl addressing the UN Youth Assembly just 9 months after her attempted assassination. This brave little girl is none other than Malala Yousufzai. I will talk about Malala's background, the various obstacles she faced throughout her journey for women empowerment and their rights, and finally about her accomplishments. Malala Yousufzai was born on 12 July 1997 in the Swat district of Pakistan's northwestern province of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. She is the eldest of 3 children. Her father, Ziauddin Yousufzai, is a poet, a school owner, and an educationist activist. It was he who inspired Malala from an early stage in her life to fight for her rights and dream, that of attaining education. An important fact we need to remember is that gaining education is not considered a basic right for many girls in certain parts of Pakistan, especially in the areas heavily influenced by the Taliban. Malala rose to fame when she started writing an anonymous blog for BBC in 2008. A BBC News reporter wanted to gain an insight about the Taliban activities, and he thought, what better way to gain first-hand information than from a schoolgirl? As brilliant an idea that was, it was also quite risky. In a land where women are given no rights, there was this young girl who was posting about her life under the Taliban rule on the internet. This could lead to retaliation from the extremist group, and thus Malala was encouraged and advised to use a pen name, and so she went by Gul Makai. Her first blog post was posted on 3rd January 2009. It read, "I had a terrible dream yesterday with military helicopters and the Taliban. I've had such dreams since the start of the military operations in Swat. I'm afraid of going to school because the Taliban ordered the banning of all girls from attending schools. Only 11 students attended class out of 27. Soon after this, the Taliban banned women from entering markets and going shopping. But Malala's main objection was that against the prohibition of female education. She wanted her voice to be heard by all. Following the success of her anonymous blog, which was published on BBC Urdu Online, she went ahead and gave interviews on national television. The end of 2009 ended her blogs and revealed the anonymous blogger's identity. Malala was now more vocal than ever before on the rights of girls' education. Furthermore, in 2009, a documentary film was made on Malala by the New York Times, which visually captured the problems faced by the people living in Swat, in particular highlighting the problems the Taliban created after invading the city and destroying all the schools, including the one run by Malala's father. Malala was deeply devastated upon seeing the ruckus created in her Swat and her school. It was at this point in her life that she gave up on her dreams of becoming a doctor and decided to pursue a career in politics. 2011 was a changing year in Malala's life. It was in this year that she gained acknowledgement for her work and bravery. She was nominated for the International Children's Peace Prize. She became the first Pakistani girl to be nominated for this. Following this was her award for the National Peace Award for Youth, which was awarded to her by the Pakistani Prime Minister. The latter award was later renamed to the National Malala Peace Prize. This young girl had won the hearts of many, locally and internationally. Her increased profile and stringent criticism of the Taliban forced the Taliban leaders to meet, and in 2012, they voted to kill her. 9th October 2012 was the day her life changed forever. Malala was riding her school bus back home when some Taliban militants stopped them. According to Malala's friend Shazia, speaking to the Christian Science Monitor, the militants shouted, "Which one of you is Malala? Speak up or I will shoot you all." Soon after this, the militants spotted Malala and without any hesitation, shot her. The bullet went through her head, her shoulder, and her neck. It severely paralyzed her. In fact, her chances of survival were none. Her father began preparations for her funeral. Her vital organs were failing and she had developed an infection. She was airlifted to a hospital in Birmingham, the United Kingdom on the 15th of October, where she was treated in a specialist hospital. She was later discharged from the hospital 3 months later. This incident was a wake-up call to the world. It led to people realizing the value of education. At this moment, there are more than 57 million children worldwide without access to education. While in hospital, the former UK Prime Minister Gordon Brown launched a petition under Malala's name. The aim of it was simple. It was to provide education for every child in Pakistan and to stop discrimination against girls. Many other petitions were signed, and thus began Malala's fight to eradicate illiteracy and discrimination in the world. 12 July, which marks Malala's birthday, has been dubbed as Malala Day. To this, Malala responded with, "Malala Day is not my day. Today is the day of every woman, every boy, and every girl who has raised their voice for their rights." She started the Malala Fund to bring awareness to the social and economic impact of girls' education and to empower girls to raise their voices, to unlock their potential, and to demand change. Malala became the most famous teenager in the world. She was featured on Time magazine's front cover in the April issue, and she made the top 100 most influential people's list that year. Malala went on to write her memoir titled, "I Am Malala, the Girl Who Stood Up for Education and Was Shot by the Taliban." It was published in late 2013. Writing a memoir is a great accomplishment for any teenager. However, her greatest accomplishment till date is winning the 2014 Nobel Peace Prize. At 17, she's the youngest Nobel Prize recipient and the second Pakistani to have won the Nobel Peace Prize. Malala's win highlighted her mission. Her aim is to allow the access to education to every child, irrespective of their social, economical, and political situation. The UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon described her as a brave and gentle advocate of peace who by the simple act of going to school, became a global teacher. There's no stopping the 17-year-old from achieving her dream. Her message is short and simple. Her message is loud and powerful. Her message is an appeal to the world for education for all. Thank you.